I'm Nicky Berry and I'm 48. I'm matched with Liggy and we were partnered in the autumn of 2017. I have two conditions. I have essential tremor, which I've always had since I was probably about 6 it started, but it got worse around the time that I also had a spinal injury, which was April 2012. I had Cauda Equina syndrome. The disability was one side of it, and that made life physically very difficult, but also we were living in Finland when I injured my back, and we'd moved out there and we intended to stay there indefinitely. We hadn't got any plans to move back to the UK. It's a bit of a blur because I was trying to come to terms with what I could and couldn't do. At that time I wouldn't use a wheelchair, so I was very limited as to what I could actually do in terms of going out. And life was just a bit horrible, really. At that point we were still living with the boys, so between the three of us mainly, we shared responsibility and dealt with what needed to be dealt with on a daily basis. Recognising you can't do everything, but at the end of the day you do what you can to try and make daily existence and daily living as good a quality as you possibly can.
She was in Finland and I was in England, and it was devastating, to not be able to be over with her. Sorry, right there. I was fortunate in that I had Neil and my two sons, and we're a really close family, and they supported me and did such a lot.
I mean, it's horrible seeing your loved ones go through something like that anyway, and for anybody that's ever experienced this or something similar to this, it's there's nothing that can prepare you for it. And it was particularly challenging, I think, on both boys at that point, watching their mum go through that. She'd gone from being fit, healthy, active one day to being effectively doubled up in agony the next and practically unable to do anything.
I was sitting in my office at work, just me on my own, and the phone rang, and she told me about Liggy, and it's like, oh my god, this is it. There's that time at the beginning when you forget that they're there to help you, and you drop something and your heart sinks, and oh my goodness, I dropped it again. And then I've got a dog. The dog can pick it up. She does a lot of things, picking things up. Things like a credit card she can pick up, anything low down foot plates, lifting. In the supermarket she'll take things off bottom shelves. Undressing me was something I'd never even thought about. At that time I was in constant pain, my back was always painful, and that was because I was doing all the things that made it worse. I suddenly realised that I wasn't in as much pain because I wasn't pulling my back all the time. And things like socks and trousers, actually it was more difficult than I had realised doing it myself, so now she just does all that for me. My left leg is my weakest leg, and on an evening I get nerve pain, really bad nerve pain, and they trained her to lie on my leg. The pressure helps with the nerve pain, and the body heat helps keep my lower leg warm.
I think the most important thing is recognising that she has support with her virtually 24/7.
I don't feel as worried when I go into situations that are unknown, that something's going to happen and I won't be able to manage. I'm less dependent on Neil.
It's been positively affirming for Nicky to have Liggy in her life, and it's given her some additional energy that she may not have otherwise had.
I think I was always quite independent, but what she's done is made it so that I can continue to be independent, because that losing independence was my biggest fear.
I think it's given Nicky the chance to be independent for much longer, and to work.
Everything she does it's about trying to continue to be active and engaged for as long as she humanly can. We don't know what the long-term outcome is of the injuries that she has. We don't know how long she'll be able to work.
It definitely gives me peace of mind to know that Nicky has Liggy and she's available to alert us to any problems that we might need to know about. Despite all the various challenges that Nicky faces through the day, that's one less thing to worry about.
I'm just enjoying the present, and I never thought, there was a time maybe 5 years ago when I couldn't even contemplate that I would have what I've got now. But for Neil, when I think back to when I first injured my back, I was completely paralysed at one point where I couldn't move anything, I couldn't even lift my head off the pillow, and he was feeding me lying flat on my back so that I had something to eat. And when I needed to go to the toilet, he was literally physically carrying me, screaming in pain. He did that because he loves me, and I know there's a lot of relationships that don't ever get through that, and we're very fortunate. That was never how I wanted our married life to be. We're still a married couple, and it's a different relationship when somebody is providing that level of physical care. what I feel is different now is that we can be a normal married couple again, and yes, he's still a carer. There's still an awful lot of things he has to do for me, but they are normal things that people do in a marriage anyway. It's not like he's doing things that wouldn't normally take place in a household. There's so many things that I did because I had to, but they were hurting me, and now she does them for me, so I'm not, like bending to pick things up is by far the biggest, and things where she just takes the strain, and as a result I have more energy, I can keep going more, and I have the energy to do things that are enjoyable. Like there was a point where I was getting up in the morning, going to work, coming home and going to bed. Now I feel like I have a life again.